And welcome everyone to Overwatch Contenders APAC Fall Series. I'm G Club. With me, we have Unknown. Another day of Contenders Unknown here as Fall Series. We continue with day number 2. 4 different teams today, as we already had the winners match yesterday. 3 matches of first to 3 is going to be the drill. How are you doing so far?
I enjoyed yesterday, of course. We had some great Overwatch. Unfortunately, we only had 3-0s yesterday, but we also have some exciting matches today. We also have 3 matches, same as yesterday. We have some exciting teams coming in. We have some fan favorites, tournament favorites
That's
also
right.
coming in. We also have some new teams coming in as well. So I'm excited, G Clef.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun time as we do have VERREL playing today. They did not get to play. The other side of things, the 4 teams that are not playing today was playing yesterday. The same drill as just yesterday. We'll explain once again when we go through the overview. We will have the 4 teams and then the winners match after that. So no one knocked out just yet in the first 2 days. So very exciting time. So there's still some room for adjustments, getting used to the bigger stage, and also maybe trying a few new things if you're willing to try. If you have that room, but of course, winning comes first.
Of course, like you said, G Club, this is I guess one of the first tournaments for that's being broadcasted for a lot of these teams. Of course, VERREL, some teams like VERREL, DAF, they're really big teams that have been always a regular in the Contenders series. However, some of these teams have been only in the Open tournament, which has very limited broadcast opportunities. So for some of these teams, this is their testing grounds on the bigger stage, and for some of them, this is I could say that this is some testing grounds before the latter stages of the tournament, because right now the meta is wide open. We see a variety of compositions. Like we also saw a lot of the Orisa yesterday, also some of the Junker Queen. Some teams opted to go to the Sigma on Midtown. Not just the tanks, we saw a lot of the DPSs as well compared to last season, because last season we usually just saw the Somber Chaser. This season we're seeing a lot more of the hit scans, Sojourn most notably, and also the Soldier 76, Torbjorn, Genji, and the Bastion as well. So we're seeing a variety of things here. Teams, it seems like on the first day, teams are still working out what kind of sticks for them. We've seen some teams just kind of rotate around compositions on different maps and against different compositions that the opponent uses, and it's really interesting to see what the other side of the bracket has for us right now.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the teams might be trying some different competition, as he has mentioned. Oh, we don't really see that Winston Ramatra anymore, which I think we've seen enough of those 2 heroes for some time. So I think it's pretty good that we move on to the other side. We go to the other side of the moon and see what it's all about. And we have no Winstons, no Ramatras at all, and it's just Sigma. Some Sigma, which I like, not too much, only on certain points of the map, and also mostly on for the other heroes that you see from the tank, and a lot more towards the DPS, and some of the heroes that you never really get to see, like Torbjorn. I think it's really interesting times right now that what in the world that we're actually having Torbjorn as the main DPS, and they're actually landing a lot of those kills, not just from the turret, as you can probably see from like bronze, silver, gold. If you have Torbjorn against like those any heroes that's flying in the air, the turrets will be doing kills for you.
Usually on your comp matches before this patch, Torbjorn was just a specific counter to the flankers, right? If the enemy tracer is like really harassing your backline and your DP and your in the lower ranks, your mechanics are not enough to just land those headshots on the tracer. You usually go for the Torbjorn, but it's a different world now, G Clef, because Torbjorn is on the mainstream meta. Even pros play it.
I like it.
Like the buffs, buffs were really positively affecting their pick rate. Right now, it's kind of like a all-rounder pick, because not just the damage, you can also the ult is usually really useful in defensive situations as well. The turret is also, if positioned correctly, can be a very nuisance to the other side as well.
Yeah, you can kind of hide the turret and turn the attention away from the other heroes when you have the turret on the side or the corner on some maps. Here's the schedule. We're on the 2nd day of APAC, Asia Pacific Fall Series. Here we'll have 2 more days, and then 2 weeks after that, we'll go straight into the finals. So 5 big days of all of these 8 teams. No one dropped out in the first 2 teams, but starting from day number 3, we will have teams being knocked out.
Yeah, so no team's going home yet. G Club mentioned this yesterday, so it's easier to understand that these teams have 2 lives each. Some of these teams, especially Six Blow and Invincible, have already used that one of those lives, so one more loss for them on the lower bracket means that they are eliminated from fall series here. But for the other teams that are playing for the first time today, VERREL, Fade, DAF, and NGUK, they all have 2 lives remaining, so they still can afford 1 loss, but of course you just want to keep that until the very end.
Yes, a big name is coming up, VERREL, aka Team Japan, that we had them not too long ago. Supposed to be the favorite and the best team from Japan out of the 3 Japanese teams we have in the fall series, which is very interesting this time. And map post slightly different, as we mentioned yesterday, compared to Overwatch League. We never really got to see push yet because it was all 3-0s and 0-3s. And potentially today might be the day that we get to see push or escort if you go to that map number 5. But I'm having a lot of fun, especially on that Flashpoint.
Yeah, Flashpoint is newly introduced to this season in Contenders here. Of course, other regions, Contenders series in other regions already have seen a lot of Flashpoint, but it's really interesting to see how a lot of teams are approaching this map type very differently, because sometimes you just think that it's a extended version of Control, but teams are approaching this map very differently from how they approach Control. So it's really interesting to see how VERREL, Fade, DAF, and NGUK will be approaching Flashpoint as well, because we will be guaranteed a Flashpoint on each matchup today. So at least 3 Flashpoints today. And you can see the schedule here for today. We have VERREL versus Fade as our first matchup, DAF versus NGUK, and on the 3rd match of the day, we have the winners from match 1 and 2 going against each other. So this is going to be a great day.
It has to be a great day, and as we go into Flashpoint, because we have to play it every single time, we will explain a little more what each team will be focusing on. But this is going to be, I can kind of see big favorites coming from both matches. Of course, VERREL, DAF, ex-Kraken Esports. So those 2 names, that comes out really big to me. Fade, yet to be known, but if they actually defeat VERREL today, they will put themselves up to the winners if it's possible, as Fade not as well known compared to VERREL. And also NGUK was there before the Crabs, but I mean, when they're fighting against the Dragons, when they're fighting against the other animals on the other side during the summer, the crab power was not enough oftentimes.
Remember, we had that seafood duel the last time on the summer series when Kraken was around. Kraken proved that they are actually the more fearsome of the beasts here. But first of all, we have VERREL versus Fade as our first matchup.
It is a huge matchup, as first from East and the 4th placement from Southeast Asia Open. So that's going to be how they match up, because you get first place, you're oftentimes going against the lower place from the other side of the Open. As VERREL, what can we say? I mean, they were the best team with the Sombra Tracer, but not just the hit scans, their teamwork was awesome. Going back in just a few months ago. Yeah, and even in a different meta, I'm pretty sure they can adjust pretty fine.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun casting VERREL, both as VERREL and as Team Japan. Like you mentioned, G-Club, this team is Team Japan. This entire team will be representing Japan in the World Cup, not just in the preliminaries, but they are already qualified for the main event. So this team is not just good in mechanics; they also have very good strategy as well. We've seen that on when it was the Winston double flanker meta, and also, like you mentioned, they also have experience playing other metas as well. And this team is not. The scary part about this team is not just that they're already good, but they're improving right now as well. And you can see the starting 5 for VERREL here: Nico Kyuki and KSG Plankton. KSG will be starting, Cloud and Mihawk. Mihawk will be starting on the support. Mihawk is a hit scan player, so we can infer here that we will be seeing the Illari here.
Illari and also Mihawk. Remember Mihawk going back and forth whenever there was a Widow required. Did play some DPS role back in Summer Series, but going back into some support. Illari, I think that's exactly what we're talking about. Hit scan. Plus, the the pylon does the healing, so you just leave that up on the side.
Yeah, so
and
the
most
pylon
likely you
is
just go aggressive.
the pylon is the support, and the Illari is the DPS. So they're trying to bend the rules here and play 3 DPS here. But I'm just joking. But VERREL, as you can see on, we can definitely see, because Cloud is a very good flex support. He plays the Baptiste, he plays the Ana, he plays the Kiriko very well. So we can probably infer that we will be seeing an Illari Baptiste with a Narisa or something, or a Junker Queen maybe here, and Nico Kuki with the DPS roles. Nico, I can't highlight this player enough. He has been insane on the Tracer. I can't wait to see what he can offer on the other picks as well. Because remember, when VERREL played in Contenders Summers, there were some times where Nico just single-handedly carried the team.
Yeah, I still remember the Lighthouse from Ilios, where Nico was actually having like 1v3, 1v4 solo when everyone else was dead at the moment, overtime, and he was the one actually winning that duel to keep the team alive on that map. Those were the moments that Nico was able to put on Tracer, which we will not likely to see anymore, but that's how good the player is. But on the other side, we have Fade here, Shake It, HYE, on 10, Kyren, and a whole lot of support line, which is very interesting compared to all the other teams in APAC.
Exactly. I'm assuming that this may be a little bit of a hero pool thing. So maybe if you want to go to double flex support, maybe there will be changes on they'll be pulling some players on the bench. Of course, we don't have as much information about Fade as we do on VERREL, but we do. What's interesting to see is that they have won in the open tournament. They have beaten Angelica Esports, who is actually the runner-ups for the Contenders Thailand series. So this team has history of beating bigger teams. They have a history of giant killing. So maybe there is a chance that Fade can actually giant kill today.
Yeah, at a continental level, maybe they have to challenge into VERREL, but still, it does seem like from Thailand, they're one of the best teams so far. As we do have Chun-Li, which is actually a name who is very familiar, not starting on the team, but depending on the map, I'm pretty sure they will change up the support and also the DPS line. That's a open opportunity for them because they have such a big roster.
Yeah, of course. I mean, just a little bit of more elaboration on this roster right now. The entire roster is consisted of Thailand players. Chun-Li was formerly Brainlets on Summer Series, so maybe a familiar name for fans who have been following this region right now. But most of the players it's their first time on their contender stage. Some of the nerves might hit in, but I am sure that this roster is full of talent.
Yes, and they have to be facing one of the biggest opponents to start off. It's going to be VERREL, so let's see how they can actually handle the pressure. Sometimes when you come up on the bigger stage, at least for the first day or the first few maps, sometimes you can be shaking. Of course, we don't have the players right next to us, so we don't exactly know what they're feeling like. Some players don't. Some players actually do have those type of pressure, and more likely than not, especially in a bigger stage.
I assume that they will be kind of like feeling the nerves right now because, of course, you do have another opportunity even if you lose today. But VERREL's going against VERREL, who's not just like a big team that has a big name value. They are also one of the most fan favorites. They have a lot of fans in Japan, and if you sometimes you just can't resist looking at the communities or something like that, or Reddit or something or some sort, and then you see that, oh, VERREL's gonna win. We think VERREL's gonna win, and even us, we kind of mentioned that VERREL's a very strong team. So the pressure is definitely there, but I think it will be all that more. I guess it will feel all that better if they actually manage to pull.
Yeah, sometimes those pressure, if at a better level, let's say if you take that pressure and turn that into your drive to play better, to actually win the match against a big name, that can be one of the best. Sometimes that turns you into one of the best players in the league. But if you don't have that as a team, sometimes you just fall down and become super passive, and you just lose that drive to actually go aggressive. Sometimes, especially in Overwatch, you do need to have that flow as a team to actually just dive in together as a team, to listen to your shot call, and then make that type of play. But once you keep on getting beaten down in all the maps, you just lose your momentum and says, maybe I can't do this. The moment you kind of have that thought in your brain, you just can't pull out your 100%. So that's sometimes what you need as a team. And against VERREL, you said it. I've said it before. It's going to be a very big uphill battle for Fade. But if they can actually get like maps off of VERREL, that will be like a pretty big achievement for Fade, I think,
Yeah.
realistically.
Also, I do think that Fade does have a chance in this meta a little bit because we've seen even yesterday that a lot of the team fights are very chaotic, and as I think what Fade needs to do is that, realistically, I don't think that in an organized team fight that they will be able to beat VERREL, but not just because of I'm not saying that Fade is mechanically inferior to VERREL, but VERREL has a lot of experience. They have been playing together as a single team for a while, and also on the big. If not the biggest stages, if you even count the World Cup in and faced against the best teams, because Team Japan, they've went against Team Korea as well, and they've also played against a lot of bigger teams. So I think they need to drag VERREL down to their level, if for lack of a better word, because if so they need to do what they need to do is that they need to start the fights and make it so chaotic that VERREL's kind of like feeling, hey, this is not what we've been planning, and they have to like rip apart their pre-match notes or something like that.
So I would like to see some cheese strategy, some unique strategy coming out from Fade, like we've seen from Midtown Junkrat play yesterday that we have seen before. Nothing like too wild that it's going to break the entire team. Like one or two players of course, with agreement with the teammate. That has to come first. Like, can I play this? Are you guys okay? Can I try this? Okay.
They have to throw VERREL out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, they really have to do. Really have to do so. So don't exactly know how they will be able to, because sometimes if you keep on losing the neutral fights, you end up just going for the easy shot call, because I've been a shot caller in many different esports, and the shot call usually just comes down. Shot caller notice this first, and then if you keep on losing the neutral fights, and you just go like, okay, I guess we just gather ultimates. That's like the easiest shot call you can build up, but it takes a while, and you lose up to almost to sometimes like the 70%. Once it comes, and if you lose the neutral fight like twice, really big.
And also, if you lose the neutral fight, the opponent will be having ultimates faster than you, and
yes, they do.
With the experience of VERREL, it will be very difficult to kind of overcome that disadvantage, because VERREL is a team that knows that they have the ultimates and you don't. So yeah, once again, I think this if Fade wants to win today, they have to make a very chaotic kind of skirmish full fights, and I think it's pretty possible. And it's definitely interesting to see. Maybe I might anticipate a little bit of the Wrecking Ball, because we've seen a lot of Wrecking Ball play from Overwatch, the Overwatch League, whereas I guess teams that have a lower power level tries to kind of harass the bigger teams, and it actually worked quite efficiently.
Yeah, Wrecking Ball. There are times where you can actually have the Wrecking Ball and actually have that in place right in the middle. Make sure it's not. It's just running around a little bit, but the call that I just had, it seems like we need some more time before we actually get into our first game and first match. So we'll take a short break, and when we come back, hopefully we'll have that match right for you. And welcome back, everyone. Sorry about the delay here before we actually get anything started. We haven't even revealed the map for map number 1, actually. So
am I allowed to spoil that?
No, we are not. As I would love to travel onto some of these maps in real life. And
well,
there are some real life
one of them
places.
is actually doable.
Like Midtown is also doable.
Midtown is also. I've been to Midtown.
You've been to Midtown?
Yeah, of course. I've been to Grand Central.
Oh, you've been to the Futureland.
Ah.
Okay, how's it like in the Futureland?
I mean, the New York Excelsior last year wasn't that great on Midtown, so I was like,
okay.
Well, I mean, I'm glad to see that they're actually really better at Midtown this year. I mean, of course, their season has been concluded, unfortunately, but however, we've seen a lot of improvements on the New York Excelsior on Midtown this year, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, and they actually still have pizza in future too.
Oh, okay.
The same
but
pepperoni
they have
pizza.
pigeons on.
They also have pigeons, not digital pigeons. It's
Hey, at least
actually
they don't
real
have
life.
rats on Midtown.
I don't think we actually go that. Maybe
we have a junkrat instead of a rat, so I'll
yes,
take that.
That's enough. We have enough traps, and we do have some issue from on Nico's side. So we do have the starting lineup change for VERREL, as we will have Mihawk moving in from support into the DPS, which is totally fine because Mihawk is a flex between the two roles, and of course, as Mint is going to be starting as a support now. That'll be the big change that VERREL is going to have before we even start map number 1.
Yeah, so this is unfortunately, maybe VERREL has to have a change of strategy here. Unfortunately, Nico is experiencing some connection issues, so unable to play at least the first map. This means that Mihawk will be going on to the DPS role. Mihawk usually plays the hit scan when playing on the DPS, so it looks like, and Mint is a traditional main support, so it looks like it's going to be a main support and a flex support, just like a traditional support composition, unless there are some cases where the main support plays the Baptiste and the flex support plays the Illari. So maybe if they don't want to drastically change their prepared composition, it might actually still be the Illari Baptiste.
Yeah, it might just be slightly more Illari and Hitscan, because Mint, I believe, was the more of a Lucio player on the roster. So it depends on the map if they actually go all the way. As we go into Busan first, as I've just been to Busan a couple weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Wow.
And I'll be visiting again in 2 weeks.
Oh, man.
Very happy.
I'm so jealous of you. Well, Busan, just a bit, I mean, you know, tourism aside, Busan is a map that has been predetermined by Comp Ops as the first map, and after that, the loser of each of the previous map will be selecting the next map. Busan is a little bit interesting. We saw predominantly a lot of the Junker Queen and the Orisa on this map. We will be starting at Mecha base, so I assume that like a Brawl-y Orisa type kind of composition will be the preference of choice, but it looks like VERREL is going with the Junker Queen composition.
I think it depends. I think it really depends, because sometimes we do have teams going for the Jungle Queen and pushing from the sides, going straight down to the stairs to the control, not really jumping down immediately with Orisa. So I think it depends on the team and the tank player's preference. It does seem like KSG is actually going to start with Jungle Queen.
Yep, and we see the Torbjorn and the not the Symmetra, the Genji here, so it is going to be I mean, I wouldn't say traditional, but it's still a standard Junker Queen composition, and also going against VERREL here, we're going to be seeing an Orisa composition. I've mentioned this before, but on a traditional matchup like this, Orisa usually has the upper hand, but not if they get, not if the Junker Queen comp gets first pick like this.
Oh yes, Baptiste going down immediately. That's not going to help with the sustain, as Sojourn does deal with his scan. Not really achieving much so far, as Kyuki just slashing, looking for those chances to grab a kill by his own. Orisa isolated alone, no other cover. Some cover coming in, but yeah, not going to be enough.
Yeah, Karen being isolated there on the point. Fade was forced to have Orisa on the point because unless there was nobody else to contest the point there, and in the end, although the Orisa has very good, has very high survivability, just like, you know, it's not enough to survive the, I guess, focus fire of 5 members on the side of VERREL.
Soldier and both of them taken out. Kiriko went in for the save, but not going to be saved right now for Fade. After that, losing 2, has to regroup all the way back.
VERREL is looking for the staggers here. Fade is actually on the side, near the spawn of VERREL, and
I think it's because they also had the sound barrier coming up real soon, just in case they needed one. Not even going to be tried, as actually going into the room.
Okay, VERREL is trying to spawn camp Fade here, and using the Kitsune is very preemptively to just zone out Fade. Although it didn't lead to a bunch of kills, it was still enough to push Fade back into their own spawn. And now it's time for Fade to use their own ultimates, but still Kuki gets 2 kills. Shake It does get a trade, but low health bars all around on the side of Fade, and it is going to be reset once again at 70%. This might be last fight territory already for the side of Fade.
Yeah, only ult available is from the Jungle Queen Rampage, but Fade, can they actually bring this up on their own? Orisa, and the window available for this final fight, Molten Core 75%, so they can kind of try, but the percentage will be very tight.
Hajime has to keep his Suzu because the Rampage is gonna be there! Oh, 4-man Rampage! The Suzu wasn't there to cleanse! And yes, the lamp is saving everyone, but not everyone! Okay, everyone dies actually. It was not enough, and there it goes, Mecha Base on the side of VERREL.
The Rampage was just way too much. We knew that it was coming. Fade knew that it was coming. VERREL, of course, knew because they were the one pressing the button, but even knowing that, you just can't dodge it. Even if you go to the side, you are going to be caught with the rotation because VERREL, they're already in a better position. So it was just no right solution. I mean, the Immortality Field, I guess that was one of the best reactions to which you can have, but still that was just not enough with that low of an HP for the entire team. Oh man, Fade.
I guess the only solution was for Hajime to keep his Suzu and then waiting for the Rampage, and after that cleansing everyone with the single Suzu, but that didn't happen, and after that the lamp did delay the deaths of several teammates, but it was not enough for that last fight to go in the way of VERREL. We're seeing a slightly different composition on downtown here. We are seeing the Wrecking Ball on the side of VERREL here, which is very surprising because on a regular matchup like a Orisa or a Jungle Queen, VERREL would probably think that they have the upper hand here, but it's VERREL who's shaking things up with the Wrecking Ball.
And HYE, and also Kyren on the Sigma. And back and forth, there are fights going on everywhere right now. And we're seeing Genji right now on the point. But some of the supports cut off on the back.
Point contested. However, the sustain is there for the side of Fade. So KSG... Oh, actually, okay. I thought KSG would have fallen first, but KSG actually manages to take down MSCG first. And the follow-up kills make sure that... Wait, they're not taking the point. Okay, yeah, now they're taking the point. Okay, thank you, VERREL.
They're fighting all over the place. Okay, someone has to go grab it first.
I was about to say, so I thought at first KSG was wasn't a little bit too far forward, but then after the kill on MSCG, now that the first fight is on the side of VERREL and they can take the point, and it took them a while to take the point, but here they are. They're pressing the trigger first, and HYE falls on the side by the mines of
from the minefield, as that does a lot of damage. It's kind of similar to how you can zone out the opponent. Still, they're all keeping a lot of Fade members at bay. Going to lose their tank in the front. Was not really covered because the supports were busy taking care of the other side. Yeah, Q-Lao does go down, but a lot more members. Again, Kyugi picking a kill here with the headshot. And KSG never died in this game so far, I think.
Nah, well, Cloud did fall to Shake It, so there's at least one death there, but I agree that VERREL, it's not looking like a fair fight. I did mention earlier in the game that Fade needs to make a lot of chaos so that VERREL cannot have an organized team fight. However, it does not mean that Fade should be disorganized. And it looks like Fade is a little bit disorganized here.
Yeah, but Mihawk is still alive along with KSG. And with both supports down, do they have enough sustain at the point? Fade. Oh, that's a nice shot from Mihawk.
Another stagger here. This means that at 82%, this is already their final fight. And HYE down, so it has to be desperation touch here. If Kyren dies here, there is no hope for Fade.
More bounces off to hit Genji, but missing a lot of those shots as Mint is still Yeah, keeping all the sustain from the back.
The Kitsune rush is there, but there's no follow-up damage to make the kills here. Yes, Kuki falls, but VERREL has more than enough members. HYE has the Dragon Blade. Can that be of any value?
More slashes, but still 6 HP.
Oh no!
And just not enough. KSG actually picked up a lot of kills in the second map as a Wrecking Ball, not just from the mines.
Yeah.
All those drives.
So I think Fade was unable to cope with how Wrecking Ball kind of harassed their positioning and all that. So it looked like, yes, Fade should have been doing a lot of chaotic fights. However, they should have made those chaotic fights not like kind of like being I guess not being opened by VERREL like that. So in the end, Fade looked like they were a lot of in a disarray, and I think in that sense, VERREL's Wrecking Ball pick kind of caught them off guard.
And in the middle, I've seen at least 3 headshot kills from Kiriko. Q Loud just in the middle. I see some kill feed on the right saying, okay, that's a headshot. 1, 2, 3. And then those were actually pretty big. In the meantime, Genji was picking up a lot of kill along with KSG. And it seems like to me, Fade, Kyren, first of all, having a lot of trouble, oftentimes being isolated. It's like, guys, let's go all together. And then there's a Wrecking Ball pushing the others around the back and saying, hey guys,
you're not allowed to help your tank.
I thought you were right next to me, and then you turn around, there's no one else next to you. That's oftentimes what happens to tank. And that's gonna be Busan for you guys, but we'll take a short break once again, and then when we come back, we'll have that map number 2 hybrid. Welcome back, everyone, to APAC Fall Series. So far, VERREL is destroying Fade with 1-0 score. It was a 2-0 flat defeat. And can Fade really come back in hybrid, whichever map they choose to do so? We've seen some Midtown yesterday.
We saw a lot of Midtown yesterday.
Yeah, it was basically all Midtown, I think. No Kings Row.
I think so.
Yeah, no Blitzer World.
Yeah, so it was all Midtown, I believe. Yeah, so like you said, G-Cliff, it was a very impressive performance for VERREL, and they just proved to us why they are considered not just the match favorites, but also the tournament favorites for this season here. We've seen a lot of individual plays. It was a little bit more of individual performances here because it wasn't, there weren't, I guess, many team fights, and except for the first fights on each control round. I think for Fade, it's just that, hey, we just forget about this because a lot of the times control maps is all about more about individual play and a little bit of skirmishes rather than team tactics or something like that. So once the payload is involved, it gets a little bit better. So mechanics don't count as much. So just if you're a Fade, you can just say, hey, yeah, so VERREL is slightly in a higher power level than we are. We knew this coming into this matchup, so we are going to just try to outsmart them, and Kings Row is going to be your second map.
Yeah, we did see VERREL sniping onto the back line of Fade as Ajima and MSCG both actually getting sniped oftentimes or isolated off of the tank where they were lost in position. So I would like to see Fade just staying together slightly more, a little uptight, and even before they actually start the push. And finally, we're having the first Kings Row of the tournament. Love this map all the time.
It's a classic. It has been there since the start of Overwatch, so very interesting to see. We are seeing that VERREL are attacking first and Fade is defending. And, ooh, it's interesting to see the Sigma for the side of defense here. You don't see a lot of Sigma on the defense on Kings Row that often.
Maybe Fade is considering to fight near the small room off of the control side. Not really staying in that big open area. I think that the team comp is trying to keep the other supports should keep Ashe on top. Which I do like, as VERREL, they do have Widow. No one should be seen.
Fade has a lot of poke. So you have the Ashe, you have the Sigma, you also have the Lari and the Baptiste. So a lot of potential poke damage on the side of Fade. They probably want to chunk out a lot of those HP bars before VERREL can approach the point and also just deny access. But VERREL is already in the face of Fade here, and that is Kyren gone. So without the tank, this might be an easy cap for point A for the side of VERREL here.
I think Fade has a different idea, as this mode is certainly hybrid, right? Not hide and seek. As I've seen the position from Fade where they were all spread out, not really being together. They were, I mean, they were hiding from a Widow, but still they have to be in somewhat of a position where you can help each other.
Well, I mean, I'm not against Fade being spread out because they're a poking comp, right? But that means that they have to chunk out, they have to pose a threat to the KSG Orisa, which is now the Winston, by the way. But right now, if you remember how VERREL just capped point A, Orisa was just in the face of Kyren and at full HP, so no poke damage done at all to the side of VERREL there. So that was, I think, a mistake on the side of Fade here. And with the Winston is not usually used on this meta, except for the Hangzhou Spark, who has arguably one of the best Winstons in the entire world. So VERREL, this is a sign of confidence here by picking the Winston.
Yeah, KSG is also known for his Winston play, especially during the summer series. Had one of the best balanced plays with that Winston, and Kyuki not even contested, just off to the side, was not marked by anyone from Fade, and this will be just free push for days. The payload is not even close to this point. It's only halfway. It should be onto the second corner now.
Oh, that was a good shot from Mihawk.
Widow.
I mean, King's Row is a good map to play the Widow on because even despite the nerfs, you still have enough room and the distance is okay for a single headshot kill.
But usually you don't play this far into the map, right? Only if you have the confidence?
Well, I think this is also a sign of confidence as well. Yes, some players do play the Widow in this stage of the map. Also, they also play on point C as well. However, like you said, G-Cliff, this is a sign of confidence because
another kill.
Because you do not see this composition, and especially in this meta right now. Like, yes, like I said, the Hangzhou Spark plays the Winston, but with the Widow and the Echo?
Yeah, 2 meters contested. At least D.Va is doing a better job. Out of the mech now. Yep, that's kind of gone. Pretty easily, and no one to contest along with that tank when the D.Va's gone.
Finally, Shaken answers with a kill on Cloud, but
immediately responded back by Kyuki.
Exactly.
Echo has been holding that ult for a long time now.
This is a record-setting pace for the attack on King's Row because we all know that King's Row is not an easy map to full cap, and it looks like it's not going to be the case, at least for this map on this matchup right now, because VERREL has no intention of stopping here.
Great sleep dart there.
Great sleep dart on KSG, denying the Nano, and the Nano on Kyren as well, but can they make any progress with the... Yes, KSG falls, so this is going to be a little bit of stabilizing on the side of Fade here. Finally, for the first time in this map, VERREL gets their progress stopped, and they have to reset.
Self-destruct, not landing on anyone, but that was an Echo, so it's all good for VERREL. Still keeping up the push. I do believe VERREL actually is the team that's holding one of the record times in Gibraltar from Summer Series, about 5 minutes in.
Oh, that was a good
the
shot.
Hanzo arrow beats the sniper.
This is what Fade needs. They need more of this.
Along with that, no Widow means that you have a lot more room to push, especially in the air.
Cloud still going with the aggression there. The captive son. D.Va has to refill.
KSG just primal rage all the way and safe, coming back to the payload.
This may be starting signs of overconfidence from the side of VERREL because they just used 2 ultimates without any value here. Yes, HYE used Dragon Blade as an answer. That did take a kill, so that may be staggering a little bit.
Still, payload actually going a little too close to the final point. Okay, being contested
VERREL
now.
wants the commit here. They used the nano. They used the duplicate. So it
Deflect. Oh, that Genji pretty swift. That actually took a long time to grab the kill. Shake It coming back with the response.
VERREL is being a little sloppy here. Like I said, some signs of overconfidence as KSG goes to the Doomfist. Well, the Doomfist pick itself is not a bad pick. However, VERREL is just throwing out ults, thinking that they can finish the full cap the map. However, Fade is clinging on to their last breaths of life here, and they're succeeding.
Oh, someone has to come to the point.
No! I cursed them! They were... Yes, VERREL were literally just throwing ultimates away, and Fade was surviving. However, they neglected the point, and...
Full cap, 3 points. Yeah, after
VERREL
the
full capped!
After the recall, a few members from Fade actually, they tried coming in, but I saw lots of kill feed. When you try to come in for the contest, it's very easy to read the movement from the opponent's side. And I think that's exactly what happened. 2 minutes and 10.
My brain is stunned right now. I just got...
Yeah, that was the moment where you saw that meter ticking down to 0 and said, wait, no one coming in? Well, we just saw like 3 more kills at that moment.
I'm donezo. I'm mental boom. No, but I'm just joking. But yeah, it's definitely, I think Fade could have taken a little second more time off the time bank, because if you think about it, they had more than VERREL had more than 4 minutes, and they did successfully kind of have it, which is credit to them. But also, it's 2 minutes and 10 seconds is a sizable time bank, considering that it's King's Row and it's even hard to just full cap the map. And Fade has a lot of work to do if they want to match that time bank.
Yeah, they do need to go all the way and get that 3 point. Let's see how they started here. Hanzo, Genji, Symmetra. Just for now, Sigma will be the tank choice.
So the Symmetra means that they want to get high ground access through the
That's
TP.
just going back to Genji.
Oh,
Immediately after.
maybe they were just wanted to get their Hanzo or supports on high ground and then just change back to the Genji. I personally think that just using the Symmetra for getting the entire team to the high ground would have been a little bit of a better choice right now, because clearly right now Fade looks like in a normal, I guess, quote-unquote normal composition. It's really difficult to beat VERREL on their own turf.
Yeah, so KSG actually climbing the stairs behind the back of the DPS and doing work himself, and says, okay, no one actually, I don't want to fight another Sigma because it's not fun. So, okay, I'm just gonna go, guys. You're still contesting on the stairs, right?
Oh, nice shot from
Shake
Shake
It.
It. Shake It has been the bright spot for Fade for the last few fights here, because remember, Shake It was the one that also took out Cloud earlier in the attack, and it looks like Fade has to play around Shake It at the current moment.
Mihawk strikes back. Genji taken down, so this point is not getting a single take yet. But somewhat better positioning coming down from Fade. As I say that, Mihawk strikes again.
The Gravitic Flux was not enough to finish Kyron, but the follow-up damage was, and VERREL flush out the second floor. So it is going to be a total reset for the side of Fade, and another stagger kill. This is what VERREL, I noticed what VERREL's doing really well is that they're making a lot of good staggers, not just in this map, but also in Control and Busan as well. They are making these staggers so that it's taking longer for Fade to reset, and once a few of those happen, then before you know it, Fade already has less than 2 minutes on the time bank.
Yeah, been changing back into Winston Anna. Shake It is doing a fine job landing those great headshots, but the follow-up is not really that powerful. There's a Dragon Strike early on to get the zoning out, but there's no one on the point yet. 130 remains.
Oh, HYE's not having a good time today right now. The Dragon Blade is not even online, and just just as a comparison, KSG used Gravitic Flux and is approaching his second one, while we still are yet to hear about a Dragon Blade in this matchup. So this just proves how much HYE is struggling today.
Yeah, so far, not too much as Hanzo changed back into Echo to match that air damage, as Echo from Kyuki was really uncontested this entire first point.
Yes, key ultimates is coming from the side of Fade, but VERREL has four ultimates here,
Wisdom
and Karen is down! HYE is down, so they don't even need to use all their ultimates. So this is really bad news for Fade here, because VERREL just won the fight with one ultimate, and they have 3 more in the bank. So even though if they are using the Nano Blade, that's probably going to be their only chance of winning. They still have, VERREL has 3 ultimates to counter that.
And 23 seconds. Fade, they do need to come up clutch to win the fight and grab the entire point. Here it is, and Nano Genji!
Good kill on Miak, that's our first. That end this, HYE might be actually able to do it. 2 kills. And the Bob denied because Mihawk was holding it. The Captive Sun takes out Shaken.
Genji's still alive,
very
but
low!
Kyuki has another flame from the Echo. Okay, Karen, because it's so quick from the respawn, the Winston is back, and there's a primal rage.
But it's overtime now, and that means longer spawn times on the side of Fate. Can there
The
be
entire
anyone
team
to
of VERREL
touch?
is already here on the
No,
point.
and that is going to be the end of King's Row. 2-0 match point for VERREL.
And Bob on the side is just chilling.
Yeah, Bob was denied by the Nano Blade on HYE, so Bob was late to the party, but I mean, he's there. So HYE was having a hard time, and he had the blade of the map. This was his time to shine, and he actually did a pretty good job taking out key members. I remember he took out the Ash with the Bob, and also not just the Immortality Field, and also he took out the Baptiste as well. So actually, job well done by the side of HYE, but I think it was a little bit too late because the other members of Fade was just falling down.
Oh yes, that was exactly the thing. We were seeing the kill feed, kills being picked up by Genji at the same time. We're seeing kill traded on the other side, and then what we're seeing on the screen. It looks really good, but after those kills, they were actually VERREL was actually getting more kills off the screen.
So I think what the problem is, I think you just kind of mentioned this problem really, really accurately in the pre-match, because what Fade is doing right now is that they're getting picked so much in the neutral fight that it's taking them forever to get an ultimate, to get their ultimates lined up. And by the time they have their ultimates, VERREL has enough ultimates for them to just to kind of allocate just 1 or 2 to defend, and they can just snowball that ult economy.
So I do think the Ana switch was pretty intelligent, but I think at this level it has to be a little faster. After a single fight or trying it twice, okay, this is not enough. Genji Blade can be coming online, but we need an Ana on top. Plus, Winston, I think, was also a pretty good swap on top of Genji. Maybe you can those 2 can actually dive and get a few more kills, which was not really happening. But I could follow the idea from Fade. I do like those switches, but if it came a little earlier, I think it could have been even better on that King's Row. But that's going to be a 3-0 win on King's Row for VERREL, making it into a 2-0 map score. Can they finish this series with a 3-0, or can Fade actually come back? Because next up will be Flashpoint. See you guys real soon. More from Fall Series. And welcome back, everyone, to APAC Fall Series. We are having VERREL versus Fade. It is 2-0 up for VERREL. As we expected, VERREL seems to be the very clear favorite of this matchup so far. But as we go into Flashpoint, we always say you never know what happens. What might happen here? But VERREL, it seems like they're actually taking today as somewhat of a more of trial and experiments, because we do see some wrecking balls and a lot of individual plays actually happening against Fade, but it's still there coming up with a win.
Yeah, I think that it's a lot. I thought it would be at least a little bit. I thought it would be at least a little bit close, but unfortunately, Busan and King's Row was not. We're going to Surabasa. Hopefully Fade finds an answer to VERREL right now, because as it currently stands right now, Fade is getting picked out on the neutral fight, so it's taking them a while to get the ultimates online, and by the time their ultimates are online, VERREL, they just have all the tools to just counter them or just do even better. So Suravasa, this map, also in the case of New Junk City, it requires a lot of mobility and a lot of maneuvering. So hopefully Fade can find that chaotic fight that we've been talking about so much.
Yes, in terms of chaotic, I think I don't think Genji might be having that much power on this map. Too much for Fade. Might have to come up with a unique solution, as some more mobility seems to be the key. Double hit scan can certainly work if you are moving in together. Let's see what it comes down to.
Okay, we are seeing a Junker Queen composition from the side of Fade and a Orisa composition from VERREL. Like I said, in this matchup, I believe that in terms of sheer power and combat power, I think that the Orisa composition has the upper hand. But if you look at the other components of this composition, the Junker Queen composition has a lot more speed, a lot more mobility, so they have to use this to great effect. Fade has to use this more mobility to their advantage if they want a chance to win.
So instead, VERREL actually just had a quick teleport in. Here's KSC on Larissa. Frontline battle has been a lot more win towards VERREL for sure.
So this time, VERREL is the composition that has the poke here. So they want to do as much damage to the health bars of Fade before Fade can be in distance, in their distance. This is what should happen. Yeah. So Mihawk taking out Kyren, taking out MSCG, everyone, basically everyone on the side of Fade. This is what a poking comp wants to do, and they're executing to perfection here.
Helix Rocket does not land this time, as that was pretty wide all the way in. VERREL still. That's the thing, Orisa, when you have it in front, KSG, you could see the health bar just getting healed back up again and again by Q-Loud and Mint on the back. But Fade, Kyren has been dropping a lot within the 3 maps that we had so far, so maybe they need to think about their care slightly more from the support line for Fade team.
Yeah, so, KSG falling very low, but however, managed to survive. Oh, not anymore. However, I think KSG bought enough time for other members of VERREL to take down 2 members of Fade, so I think Fade has to reset again. Kyren down means that they absolutely do, and this is nothing more than a stagger at this point, and looking at the percentage right now, progress on the point right now, it looks like they have to, Fade has to concede point A, because remember, on Flashpoint, the point ticks a lot faster than on Control.
Oh yes, it certainly does. As you can see, that number going up really high.
And I don't think Fade wants to contest at all. They are looking
I thought Fade might come in contest. Maybe not enough time, because the advantage is certainly there for VERREL. They did not end up using too many ultimates at all. So at least getting one out seems very crucial, but here it is in the middle of the road.
What a clever play by VERREL here. They knew that it was going to be a very close run to the ruins here, so they're just fighting before anyone gets to the point. Sound Barrier keeps members of Fade alive, however, okay, Cloud falls by the hands of Kyren. That is a start. So VERREL gets punished for their earlier aggression here, and this time, Fade for the first time, I think, on this match, have won a team fight against VERREL.
Yeah, a 5v5 team fight, straight on won by Fade with just a Sound Barrier, and actually a few used on VERREL's side a while ago.
Yeah, so both support ult and the Terror Surge used on VERREL, so it was an expensive fight for VERREL as well. But however, VERREL did not win this fight, so Fade is actually in a position where they can actually snowball with the ult economy here, because they have the Blizzard, they have the Rampage, they have the Window. That's the Molten Core, the good Molten Core takes care of Kyren.
And the field does keep a few of the members back up. But still KSG pushing the front line.
Blizzard there takes down KSG,
nice
so good response for Fade. Finally, Fade has woken up and is winning fights against VERREL. This is the Fade that we have been waiting for.
Hey, I like this Mei already. Hey, hold on, Mihawk. The rocket. It's one another kill. After on the other side. So as we thought it was going for a fade.
We still have the
Okay, the Mei actually
there too.
survived. Oh, actually, it doesn't end up going down regardless, but bought enough time.
I still think that this is okay because if you look at the struggle right now, Cloud also used the Captive Sun just to finish out the Mei and the Junker Queen. So yes, Fade did give up the point, give up a point cap, the flip, but at the same time they forced VERREL into using resources, and this is a start. This is a good sign of Fade that they are actually playing to their plans now.
And much better rotation. Of course,
This was not in their plans.
a little too much in the rotation. I was about to say, they're taking a little too much time in the rotation. They're moving together at least, which I liked. That part I did like. But the time it took for them to actually make the bigger rotation, yes, VERREL, it's not like they're not totally spotted. The VERREL is going to know which direction they're coming from. So that was going to be rough, and we're going all the way to the right bottom now.
It looks like VERREL is closer to Gardens right now, so VERREL will be having the positional advantage. Fade will once again be having to break open the defenses of VERREL, which is not an easy task, as we've seen VERREL being so great on positioning today.
Yeah, still 8 seconds, and Fade, I think they rotated well enough that they were not caught this time. But do they have the advantage? I do like the positioning, not bad. But VERREL actually keeping the side angle. PSG coming in from the harass. Yuki already in position with the Jungle Key now.
Okay, 2 ultimates used and Fade. Okay, so I think what's really concerning about Fade right now is that, yes, they probably knew that VERREL had more ults than them, and the best scenario for Fade would have been that, yes, they lose the fight, but they bait out a lot of the ultimates. They managed to force VERREL into using 2 ultimates, which is the duplicate and the window, but Fade used 2 ultimates of their own as well, so it's not necessarily it's not necessarily something that they're happy with. So KSG uses the Terra Surge and a good response from Hajima, but with the sound barrier. But now this is where Fade kind of is paying the cost,
because still alive.
If Fade had the ultimates that they used in the losing fight last fight, they would have actually had an advantage here. Yes, the flip comes over. However, VERREL is in a prime position to take that back because they have the Captive Sun, they have the Visor.
Yes, the ult economy, of course, certainly much better for VERREL. But in that fight, Shake It actually drew a lot of attention away with that power slide. Nicely done. I do like some of the play coming out, not just on this map. Especially for Shake It, who did play Hanzo before. Also doing a pretty good job on hit scan.
Byron has that Rampage. 3 members. Oh,
yeah, a few more
double kill from the Captive Sun, and that, I think, is going to be it. Kyron did have the Rampage, but was not in a position to use it. And with 90%, I think Fade would be struggling to just touch.
Yeah. No one in the sight. Soldier 76 had the visor up, but it's just not possible. And I think it was also further away from Fade's side for that third
Yeah,
point.
the respawn was not in Fade's favor. So more of all the more reason to kind of be disappointed with the previous fight that happened there, because remember, once the ult economy is actually a very, very simple thing. If your opponent has more ultimates than you, then you accept the fact that you would probably be losing that fight. So you want to bait out the ultimates, you want to bait out their resources while not using yours, because that's the only way of breaking that snowball. But in a losing fight, Fade just decided to match the number of ultimates on their own, and because they use the same number of ultimates, VERREL will always be having more ultimates than them, and they never recovered from that deficit.
Yes, as we do have clear winner with a 3-0, and it's going to be VERREL tonight against Fade. As no upsets did happen, but Fate did show some promising signs going into later stage of the tournament, as they were up against the biggest mountain in their first match. So maybe in the lower bracket, they can have better chances climbing up against other teams. But against VERREL tonight was certainly not at the same level, as we could see from Busan, Kings Row, and also Sarabasa. As a Fate, I think the best sign of light that we'd get to see was actually Flashpoint.
Yeah,
they moved in together, but in terms of speed, it was still slightly slower compared to VERREL, because of course I think the experience really comes in handy. If you're losing, you lost 2 maps, a 3-0, 2-0 score. Coming to Flashpoint, you shouldn't be feeling 100% confident first of all, but still with the fact, I think Fade still had a pretty good shot call in the middle, switching between first point and the second point and the third point. There were some moments where HYE and also Shake It actually showing signs of really good DPS.
Yeah, we could definitely see glimpses of a lot of talent here, especially on, I want to highlight Shake It here, especially on King's Row as well. Sarabasa too. Sarabasa, like you said, G-Clef, it was the map where Fade looked like, kind of proved how they got up to Contenders, and I think a lot of nerves were involved, so maybe that this wasn't today, what they showed today wasn't 100% what Fade was able to do. Again, they probably would learn from this experience, and hopefully the lower bracket run will be enough for them to prove to us why they deserve to be here. But for today, the player of the match is going to be no other than KSG.
KSG, Wrecking Ball, Winston, you name it. Whichever hero, Sigma. This guy can play anything. As we mentioned many times during the summer series, one of the things that keeps in between, I think he's like right in the middle. You can be slightly too aggressive, slightly too defensive. But this player, it seems like he's just a 50-50. He's right in between, can switch back and forth depending on the positioning of the player. Quickly showing why this guy is the main tank of the team.
Yeah, so it's really pleasing to see how KSG has kind of evolved in some way, because KSG is usually considered a main tank player, so the Winston, the Wrecking Ball, the Orisa, and VERREL also has a very talented off tank and by the name of Plankton, who plays the Sigma, the Diva, and the Zarya, and also a lot of other off tanks as well. However, KSG has proven that he is not just proficient on the traditional main tank heroes, but also the off tank heroes as well. So this is going to make VERREL's opponents a lot more headache. Give the opponents of VERREL a lot more headaches, because you don't know, even if KSG plays, you don't know what he's gonna play.
Yeah, it's going to be the tough thing when you have to fight against this team called VERREL right after, because the winners match is actually happening right after the second match of tonight. We have 3 matches, so VERREL is going to wait in that winners match position, waiting for either DAF or NGUK to be up there. As you do see Fade all the way down, they will be playing in that losers match in the lower bracket. Whoever loses in our second match will be going all the way down there.
Yeah, VERREL, again, is confirming our predictions on being pre-tournament favorites. I also believe that whoever advances from the DAF and GUK match, VERREL should be in a pretty good position to win against them. Although not in like this fashion against Fade, however, they still look like they're going to be favorites, and going against Heaven Sent. It's going to. I will be very surprised if the results are otherwise, but it'll be very interesting to see.
Yeah, so far lots of 3-0s happening. So actually, only 3-0s. 4 in a row.
I haven't seen a single push map this season.
That's a little sad, but you never know, because our next match might actually bring us to that map number 4 or 5, because the 2 teams that are playing is DAF and NGUK. They're coming out right after the break. So guys, stay hydrated. We will be right back.